We need to talk about Trump's guy, Paul Ingrassia, who has a bit of a Nazi streak in it. And mind you, those are his words, not mine. Right? And if you're not familiar with Paul, back in May, Trump nominated him to run the Office of Special Counsel, right, which is the agency that's meant to investigate federal employee whistleblower complaints, discrimination claims, and other sensitive work. Well, now that we've seen his leaked text messages, it seems like maybe he's not the best guy for that job. Right? Because you have Politico releasing this bombshell article detailing some of the messages between Ingrassia and roughly 6 other Republican operatives and influencers. And with that, some of the highlights include a conversation from January of 2024 in which Ingrassia wrote, MLK Jr. was the 1960s George Floyd and his holiday should be ended and tossed into the 7th circle of hell where it belongs. Then around a month later, he followed that up with, we need competent white men in positions of leadership, saying the founding fathers were wrong that all men are created equal. We need to reject that part of our heritage. With him then appearing to double down on that in a later exchange in May, where you had him talking to an unnamed Trump campaign staffer who was working on outreach to minority voters, and you had Politico saying that Ingrassia suggested that the staffer didn't show enough deference to the founding fathers being white, which then prompted someone else to say Paul belongs in the Hitler Youth with Steve Bannon, to which Ingrassia responded, I do have a Nazi streak in me from time to time, I will admit it. And then actually when he was met with some pushback there, Ingrassia dug in his heels, saying we should celebrate white men and Western civilization and I will never back down from that. Right? And he maintained that despite several members of the chat telling him to pull back and saying that he was coming across with a tinge of racism. Right? And all of that, it's kind of just the tip of the iceberg. Right? Ingrassia also made some explicitly racist comments against people from China and India and Africa. Paul saying, I said we're making Kwanzaa illegal in the next Trump admin. With him then also using an Italian slur for black people. But with all that said, the group chat around May, it ends up getting disbanded. With it being reported, that's because other members were tired of Ingrassia's rhetoric. Right, and with that, you had Politico saying they got these messages from someone else in the chat who saved them, sharing them on the condition of anonymity. Right, and adding that they felt like they had to share this, to do this, because they don't think Ingrassia is qualified for the position he's up for. Saying he was too young and too inexperienced to deal with the fame. It was like giving an 18-year-old 10 million and saying, have at it, kid. Right, and with all this, I think it's important to note that Politico also corroborated the messages with another person in the chat, as well as verified the number associated with Ingrassia in the chat, saying it actually belongs to him. All of which prompted Ingrassia's attorney to immediately try to do some damage control, right, suggesting that the messages may be fake before then adding, however, even if the texts are authentic, they clearly read as self-deprecating and satirical humor, making fun of the fact that liberals outlandishly and routinely call MAGA supporters Nazis, and saying in reality, Mr. Ingrassia has incredible support from the Jewish community because Jews know that Mr. Ingrassia is the furthest thing from a Nazi. But then, within days, the attorney shifted gears and was doubling down on the claim that the messages in fact were not real, and had another statement saying, in this age of AI, authentication of allegedly leaked messages, which could be outright falsehoods, doctored, or manipulated, or lacking critical context, is extremely difficult. We do not concede the authenticity of any of these purported messages. But for now, we'll have to wait to see, is Ingrassia's nomination actually in serious jeopardy, or is this noise for an administration that's kind of able to get the rest of the Republicans on board and move forward with pretty much anything?